I think it is clear that these Gen Zs and Gen Ys, these young people, are not joking, and they are fired. And I don't think that the solution is to visit violence upon them, because they keep on coming, and some of them, are coming even unafraid of danger and even death. I don't think that it is possible for the leadership to overcome this young energy, this young resolve. I don't think it is humanly possible. And maybe the earlier the system knows that, and people within the system talk to the system, it is my prayer that this emerging leadership stakes its claim, so that it is now definitely the catalyst of the change for rule of law, for our constitution, for economic justice, for this third, and let me say, final liberation. When one watches many of them, telling the police, come shoot and all that kind of stuff, one should not see this as just drama or just young people like thinking it's a joke, it's drama, it's play. This tells you that there are people, young people, who have reached the point that they don't clearly see the difference between life and death, because it's like they are living a life in death because of not really seeing their future, the immediate future as such. But having said that, one thing that really, again, put my heart down was when I, tried to go from Gong Road towards town, and I, after passing Nakumat Junction, where there was some youth were putting burning tires on the road to stop vehicles from going past. And then going down after that, because I was on a motorbike, going down after that, border, then seeing, youth who are like mobilized with those horse sticks from Kibera sides, again confronting, other youth. And I was told that at midday it was even worse, because I was approaching that side after about two-ish or so. So this idea of young people who are trying to be given some little money, and sometimes, they're cheated about ethnicity and stuff like that. It is something that should wear off. And I think, first of all, we can't say that it is young people who are from one ethnic group, because the people are being given money, from different places, but they are minority. But what made me unhappy is to know that there are still some young people who have not seen that their lives are miserable, and the 500 bob, the 1,000 bob, so there is conversation needed, youth to youth, peer to peer, and that conversation to make sure that kind of, I refuse to call them goons. They are young people who, they are just misdirected, just like how we are misdirected about voting in an ethnic way. And these are things that I'm sure, going to the future, these are things that the system will not have at its disposal to use or misuse. But having said all that, I think it is clear that these Gen Zs and Gen Ys, these young people, are not joking, and they are fired. And I don't think that the solution is to visit violence upon them, because they keep on coming, and some of them, are coming even unafraid of danger, and even death. So I think another strategy is necessary from the current government. And I hope that if the current government is not able to itself come up with a solution to all this, I hope they can be helped by whether it's religious leaders. Some of them now are beginning to stand up and say that, like the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, and so on and so forth, to say that this is not correct. Also professionals, also the private sector. Some of the private sector people, it is now time for all Gen Zotes, for the middle class to come and say, this can't continue as is. And it is true that when a country totally collapses, it is always not easy to build it again. And that is why I laud the young people for saying that the Kenya that is anticipated by the Constitution is a different Kenya. It's not the Kenya that the leadership is trying to get us to swallow, and that is not right. And I hope, and many of us are also in prayer. I think prayer should be directed, to the leadership, and as we do everything else that must be done, I think that spiritual aspect is also, absolutely important. And so I talk of hope. I can see that glorious future, despite the cost that is being paid to attain it. I don't think that it is possible for the leadership to overcome this young energy, this young resolve. I don't think it is humanly possible. And maybe the earlier the system knows that, and people within the system talk to the system. And even our police, the police, what kind of police do you want, even as an individual police person? What kind of, like when you sit with family, when you sit with relatives, when you sit with people who say they love you, how do they see you? And I know there is police who do not like this, but of course sometimes they work from orders, and so I think even in many situations, the police, those in the armed forces and so on, it is reached a point when they also question themselves: is this the right thing we are doing? Are we being used? Why can't there be an alternative? And like our army is supposed to be one of the most professional armies, on the continent. And the police also, there are police people who are positive people, but on the whole, I think it is now necessary, even for the police to really ask themselves, are we serving Kenyans? Why do we have to, fight these young people? And is this killing necessary? I think people, although Oras did say that they must stay a lot in the demonstrations to really prove their worth, but at least they are doing something, and in several areas. And therefore, I hope that, I liked, what Obtata did. I liked what Maraga did. I liked what, the older people. I liked also what the younger member of parliament also, did. And it's not so much for photographs to be taken, but it's so much to really be with the young people, whether photographs are taken or not, so that they know they are not on their own. And also to send the message that it's not just going to be the young people who will be sacrificed and so on. And as I finalize, I just think that this pressure will bear fruit, and it is bearing fruit. And from June 20, June 25th, 2024, Kenya became different. From today, Kenya has even become more different. And of course, there's also Sabasaba coming up and all that kind of stuff. So I think the leadership should spare the country all those, bad days, and be in a place to listen to its people, and particularly to listen to the young people. And I hope next time that the young people, demand change according to the constitution. All generations now should be there, so that there's even a more forceful conversation with the leadership, so that the leadership can do a very simple thing, just to follow the constitution. Because we fought for the constitution, that was in the 90s. Now we are fighting for the implementation of the constitution, 2020s. And it's not much to ask for an implementation of what keeps us together as a people. And the reason, personally, I am very much interested in what is happening now is because in my relative youth, we were involved, and we went through all these things, people being shot, people being imprisoned, people going into exile. That story sometimes is distant to the younger people today, but it's going through the same motions, only that this time around, this is amplified. This is, very powerful. And that is why anybody who knew what happened in the 90s, including the leadership today, must know if in the 90s it was possible to overcome Moi, and even many of them who are actually resisting the constitution then, although today they are saying now they want the constitution implemented, and we have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. So it must be clear, therefore, that this more stronger force is going to triumph, and therefore to lessen the pain that is being subjected to, particularly, this group. And just to say that the system knows a lot of the leaders of this movement. So, because it is evident when, people organizing people, go to Tanzania, they are abducted and tortured and all that kind of stuff. So perhaps it is time for all the groups of the young people now to come together to farm up as a June 25 movement, so that whatever successes come from their energy, blood, and vision, resilience, and so on, are not appropriated again by, the same old politicians, myself included, because, 71, one of the old ones, so that there is something new in terms of leadership from the younger people. We keep on saying that we know at independence, the people came into power were in their 30s, some even in their 29s, late 20s. Abroad, there are many people who are becoming prime ministers, presidents at 30s. So it's really time for these Gen Zs and Gen Ys. It is their time, and to come together to sharpen the vision, the manifesto, the June 25 manifesto, and so that they can sit down with anybody and now talk. They will sit on the table with their own clear leadership, clear vision, and so on, so that once more they are not tuneward. That is what happened to the Mau Mau, Kenadeda and Kimathi. They lost out because other people were cleverer and were, even in the 1990s, those things keep on happening. And it's my prayer. It is my prayer that this emerging leadership stakes its claim so that it is now definitely the catalyst of the change for rule of law, for our constitution, for economic justice, for this third and let me say final liberation.